Alright, I guess I'd like to first start out and just explain why I decided to go ahead and make this quick tutorial. I teach Photoshop from a graphic design point of view, um, but I'll go ahead and do here a digital painting. Now, when I first started with digital painting, I had a lot of troubles, and I think everyone might have had a lot of troubles when they first started, like with Photoshop and so forth, and getting used to it. And you're like, I don't understand this. I can draw good. I can color pencil good. I could maybe even you're a good traditional painter, and you pick up the computer and you're like, ah, forget this. I can never know how to do it. And that was me. And so it took me quite a while to do a lot of reading and watching a lot of videos, digital painting videos, before it actually clicked. And it was really once I watched someone work step by step, that's when it really clicked for me. And so I decided to go ahead and put together a quick free video here showing different techniques that people use and that I like to use. And we're going to go ahead and just do a fruit here. I know, kind of cliche, but the fruit is good to learn how to paint. It's got a lot of color variation and texture. Now what I did here really quick is I just sketched right over the photo. What I do is I put it down about like that, about 52% opacity, and I just do a quick sketch over that on another layer. Now, obviously this is cheating, but you're just learning how to digital paint. You're not learning how to sketch. I assume that you already have some traditional understanding of art and perspective and color and lighting and so forth. And really I'm just going to be focusing on how to digitally paint and get the look that you want, a type of painting look. And this will be with Photoshop. If people like this, I might do one for Painter, and also I might do another one for skin tone, maybe a portrait of a face or something like that. Alright, so once I got the sketch done, I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to full again. What I like to do is look at it, and normally I don't have enough room. I would normally, because I want to try to keep this video size small, so I'm keeping the area small. My screen's a lot bigger than this. Anyway, so I would normally have two images I would look at side by side, and that makes it a lot easier. You can also look at the navigator little zoom control and make that kind of big as a secondary window for what you're looking at. But for this here, I'm just going to go to Edit, a free transform, hold down the Shift key, and about like so. I'm just going to bring this up over here. I'm going to hit confirm. This way I have something to look at while I paint. That way you have kind of the reference guide. And notice when I just do quick sketches. If you want, you can do a pencil sketch. I just do a quick sketch here to get the basic, this color darker red for where the shadows are going to be, where light's going to be, where midtones are going to be. It's just how I like to work. You can work however you wish for that part. And if you want to scan in a pencil drawing, this is MC Escher, and let's say you scan in a pencil drawing from, you drew it by hand on paper, and now the problem is you have this paper here, and you want to be able to see through the sketch, let's say. Then what you do is you go to the layer, and let's go to, go to multiply. Alright, and just to show you that it is indeed looking through it, because I had a white background so you didn't see no change, I went ahead and changed the background to a red, and if you see it, this layer is on multiply, only the dark show. If you want only the light to show, then you would set it to screen. Then only the light color shows, and the dark color is see-through. So it's really helpful to scan in your art drawings and set it like this, and whenever you have your background to, then you can draw underneath it, and the sketch will remain there, or you can draw over it, whatever you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and fill this back in with white. Okay, so that's how you can go ahead and scan in your pictures, your drawings. Alright, now there are different ways in which people like to paint and different techniques that they like to do. And I'm going to go ahead and make another layer here above my layer. Now I can either work above my sketch or below my sketch. I like to do back and forth between both. This would be below the sketch, this would be above the sketch. I like to start out above the sketch and just start painting in very lightly over it until I start seeing the form. And I like to start out really trying to capture the values, trying to capture the contrast from dark to light and the different colors. And then after I have that, then I like to work from there. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Another thing that people like to do is they like to make an outline and then fill it in with the color, like make a selection, fill it in with the base color, and then color darks and lights on that. And that's a fine technique too, and especially if you want to get more of a cartoon look, but it's usually not a style I use very often. But if you want to use that style, what you do is you would pick your main color, let's say I'm just going to go ahead and I have my paintbrush chosen here, and let's say I just pick a color like this, and work with hard brushes. And the main thing that I had to learn that was difficult for me at first was I had to learn that don't use small brushes and don't go for details. When you first start out, go for the volume, go for contrast, go for the shape, and use big brushes. Make yourself use big brushes, that way you don't accidentally try to go for detail. And what some people like to do is they like to fill it in with the color they're going to be painting with, and I'm at transparency here. They'd actually have it at 100% usually, and they would go ahead and fill in the major blocks shape, like so. After they had the major block shape, then they'd go in and put another layer with the shadow and then with light, and put those three together, and then start blending them together and work that way. That's just not the way I like to work, so I'm not going to do it that way. But it is an option. And I don't want to make this video too long, otherwise I would show it all step by step how you can do all these different techniques. Maybe by request I'll do that. I'm going to go over here to my brushes, and I know you can't see it all, so I can probably drag it over here so you can see what I'm doing. And I always make sure the shape dynamics is set to pin pressure. That way, when you're drawing, if you do it lighter or harder, you get the different values and how you want it to look, or excuse me, not values, the different size. And then I also like to click Other Dynamics, in which will give you the control over opacity by how hard you hit it as well. And I also like to switch this off and off sometimes. That way you just get these big thick lines, but you can still have control over the opacity. I usually always make it to where I have control over the opacity. It's always handy. Alright, so I have both of those set to pressure. Also, I like to use texture a lot too to give more of a painting feel, and you can add a texture fill to your brush, and as you can see there, this works good too for doing texturing. You can use different textures. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, so I have a 23 round brush, and notice it's 100% hardness. I have the opacity to 100% right now. I'll probably drop it down just a little bit, about 81% or so. And then we'll go ahead, and I have, like I said, I have the opacity set to pressure and the size set to pressure. Alright, so what I like to do is I'm just going to start out with a dark color. I'm just going to be picking colors over here. Normally I would choose a color palette. Matter of fact, I can probably make a color palette really quick. Let's see here. Alright, one way you can do it is actually making a color palette from the photo if you wish. Or you can use a custom palette with your colors you like to use. In this case, I'm just going to use the photo here. And what I do is I drag it up to see all these different colors I can get. And I have a new little window over here that I made. Just a small for my color palette. You can also do it on the painting if you want another layer. I usually do it on a separate little file. I just open it up and make it small, 150 by 150. And then I hold down the Alt key with my paintbrush, and I can choose any color in here. I'm going to choose the darkest value, and what I like to do is after choosing the darker value is kind of change and alter just a little bit, because the color picker never quite works right. And I just go ahead and put that in there. And I'm going to take this kind of more of a grayer look here, and I want it to be kind of grayer because you can tell it's a lot grayer on the image, and so I like to make it like that. And then you can take a highlight color. I'm just going to make it a little bit grayer and brighter. I can do the whole thing with just those three colors, but I also want kind of this more oranger color as well, and then I can just work from there afterwards. Let's see here. So you can do that for all the colors. Alright, so there we go. Now I got my colors I'm going to be using. And so I hold down the Alt key a lot and just click it by touching with your pen here, and it picks up that color. And so these are the colors I'm going to be using. And I just start in by blocking in over the sketch, like so. And you're not trying to go for perfection, so don't spend a lot of time on this. Do it real fast. Matter of fact, working fast will help you get that down so you don't spend too much time on it. And maybe I'll just add a little bit there, a little bit there. I'm going to use this other color and put it in like so. I'm going to put the greens in here just a little bit. I like to try to block in the colors as fast as possible. I'm going to use this orange color here because it's on the edge. And I don't spend a lot of time doing that, just really quick strokes. And then I'm going to use this kind of greenish. I put the green with the opacity over it, just clicked it one time, that way it mix both colors. That's how I usually mix colors with Photoshop. And just kind of put it right in there. And finally I'm going to use this brighter color and just kind of set in like so. Okay, so something like that, just kind of make sure it's all locked in. And then I want to use a transparency for this. I want to make sure this is down a lot further, maybe 30% or so. And I want to try to get these colors in here. So I'm going to just kind of put that over there like that. Just want to grab a bunch of these different colors because they all kind of appear within the shadow. So the orange kind of appears over there as well. And this kind of color, a little bit of orange. And just kind of block it in like so. And yeah, it looks dirty, but that's fine because you're going to be tuning it up, so it's not to worry. And I went out of the lines, that's fine too, because you can just erase that, or you'll be painting a background over it, so it really won't matter. And then if you want to do the stem, you obviously want to drop your brush down a little bit, so drop down to about 8 pixels. And the reason why I like to manually switch it like that, because I don't have all my brushes set up right now, to, hold on just a second, I don't have all my brushes set up for the proper opacity and size set to pin pressure. So what I did is I took that one brush. Now as long as I slide it like this, my opacity and pin pressure that I set on brushes is going to remain intact. But if I click on another brush, since these brushes aren't set that way, they're going to reset back to just the size pin pressure. So I just going to do it this way. I could set up my own little brush palette, in which I do have some special brushes down here I like to use, but anyway. Alright. And I go to a slightly smaller brush and start, well actually, I still want to use a slightly bigger brush here and to kind of blend this in. Now there's different techniques that people use to blend, and a lot of people use the Alt technique. You hold down the Alt key, pick a color, start blending, pick the Alt key, start blending, and just keep blending and use it on a lower opacity. I really like to work with flow at 100%. Other people like to use their flow down. It's all about preference. You can mess around with that and see if you like it or not. I personally just don't like it, so I usually don't use it like that. And you just kind of start, and notice every time see that? When you see it click to that, I'm holding down the Alt key, and I'm choosing colors. See the colors over here? Watch. See how they change? So I just drag it across, and I find the color I want, and just kind of start putting it in there, and just keep building up over what you're doing, and it'll start, and see every time I'm doing that, I'm just grabbing a new color, grab a new color, grab a new color, and you just keep doing this, and you start to build up the colors that you want. I'm going to add just a little bit of that green in there, and so forth. And I never stay true to the photo, because, I don't know, I just like to make it more artistic, and I like to use my artistic, freedom. Otherwise, I feel like I'm too confined, and I don't like to just copy photos. It's just not fun. Maybe other people find it fun to copy photos. Personally, I just don't find it fun. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just keep picking the color and just keep working it in there. And actually, as you can see, it starts to take the shape that you're looking for. And actually, I'm going to pick this color over here again. I just want to add it in here again because it kind of lost it a little bit. That kind of yellowish. Actually, I'm going to pick a yellow, just kind of hit it a few times, like so. There we go. And you just got to, tweak it around as you're working. And see, that shadow there is not nearly that dark, so I'm going to lighten it up here, like that. And notice I'm not going for detail. I'm using a big brush on purpose because this was one of the major problems I had when I first started digital painting, is I was trying so hard to get all the details right away. I wanted to look good off the bat, and you just don't want to do that because you mess it up that way. So you got to be patient and know that it's going to turn out fine. So you got to just keep practicing and know that your painting will turn out fine if you just take your time and go step by step and just keep building up the values, the color, and hues and everything, and just keep working on it. But anyway, my biggest problem I had, like I was saying, when I first was getting started with digital painting with Photoshop, was that I would try to add too much detail right away, and I kept wondering why my paintings look like crap. And also I was using soft brushes. Now some people can get away with using soft brushes, and soft brushes have their time, but for a more painterly look, I think the hard brushes work better personally. But soft brushes do have their purposes, and I use them sometimes if I want a nice smooth look somewhere. Anyway, so I'm just going to pick this color right here because I want more orange in there. And see, maybe like that. And I want a little bit more of this yellow here. Like that. So see how some of the green is still coming through? Because you don't want to totally destroy that. You got to just do it really light strokes. That way you don't destroy what you want. You know, actually, this shadow color is not quite what I'm looking for. As you can tell, it looks a little bit more red in here. So I'm going to add just a little bit more red shadow. And up here it's not, but right in here, it does kind of have a reddish tint. So I'm just going to kind of add that in there, like that. And then add this back. And just kind of go like that. There we go. That should be good. Okay, so now it's starting to take shape, and you can just keep working on this as much as you want. I try not to spend too much time, and you just kind of get your basic build up here. So always start with a big brush like this. That way you don't accidentally, go too far or try to get too much detail right away. And that's really, I can't stress it enough. I'm telling you, that was one of my major problems. Was, well, one, the brushes I was using, and two, like I was saying, is I try to add too much detail. I try to draw is what I was trying to do. I was just trying to draw on the canvas because it does feel more like drawing than it does like painting, right? Now, Painter um, 9 has a little bit more painterly feel, especially the oils. I'm really impressed with it a lot, and I'm practicing with it more and more because it really does have a neat painterly feel to it. Although it's not quite like painting, but it does have that painterly feel to it. All right, so here we go. I went ahead and did a little more work on it on pause really fast. So got the basic colors and shapes and values set in here that I'm pretty happy with this, and I'll just go with it. And keep in mind, work big brushes. And also, another important thing, I'm working really small here, so it's not going to come out as great as if I was working big. But you really want to work big, and I'm just trying to keep the file size small. But you want to work about 300 dpi at pixels about 3000 by 3000. And it depends on what you're painting, but you really want to keep it pretty big, at least on the inches size, like at least 8.5 by 11, 300 dpi. So you want to keep it pretty big as if you're going to be printing it out. It just makes it easier to work that way. So naturally, this brush here would be a lot smaller. Right now, this 27 looks pretty big, but I'd be working with a lot bigger brush than this. But this is about how big you want the brush to look like on the screen. Oops, delete that. Okay, so then I went ahead and picked a background color, and I'm just going to block this in. I'm going to put it on pause, but I just want to show you really quickly. I'm just going to kind of block the background in a little bit here, because what this does is if you look at a painting, right, or a picture, it really does change. If you have a little bit of darker color around lighter colors, it makes the lighter colors actually look lighter. Next to white, it looks, it doesn't look that dark. So give an example here really quick. All right, so I have this dark red shadow and this lighter red shadow. Now watch this. We'll take a light green, and we'll just hit it a few times right here, like so. And then we'll do it here as well. You notice here it doesn't look as bright as it does here. Let me hit it a few more times. So you see it kind of looks different just by what colors surrounding it. And so you're going to notice that if you have a lot of dark colors, you can use lighter colors, and it'll make it stick out more. You can actually start out by, let's say, putting in some highlights on a sketch with, like, do a sketch with a light pencil or a light color on Photoshop, and then on top of that, put the highlights in with a kind of mid-tone gray somewhere around here, and then start taking a dark color and start darkening that sketch around the light, and you'll see the light pop out. And so it comes in handy to know. Anyway, so that's why I'm putting the background in here. This way I like to work. You don't have to do it that way, but it tends to make me get a better feel and look for what it is I'm painting if I have a quick background in there, something to look at, something to set it apart. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time doing that. Just going to try to click in fast. I'm going to turn my opacity up here again. I don't know why I had it so low. Let's just go something like that. Nothing special. Add this a little bit lighter color in here. Alright, something like that, just where I have something to set it out for me. Okay. Okay, then we'll move my sketch now above what I'm painting, just really quick for I can kind of make this shape a little bit better, like so. Now I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush here, and I'm going to take the, oops, let's see here. Alright, now if I want to, I can just hit here. This is the eye, it turns it off and on. So if I want to, I can kind of turn on for a second, do a little painting. Notice it's highlighted on the painting. So if by turning this off and on, I don't switch what layer I'm on. So I'm still on my painting layer, and I can start working with a slightly smaller brush, and you can start working in the details. Now you can also smooth this out if you want. And one interesting technique for smoothing out, especially if you want to kind of add texture, is you pick the healing brush tool. This is kind of neat. I'd like to turn the hardness down a lot. And let's say you want to pick this texture here, and then you can start working with it. Well, actually, I picked the wrong layer. Pick the texture, go back to layer you're painting on, and notice it just adds an instant texture there. Now that's kind of cheating because you took the painting and you just kind of threw it right on there, but it will kind of give you a texture if you want to do it that way. Or you can draw your own texture and use this, or you can just pick what you've already been painting and you can start to blend. And it's kind of interesting tool. If you pick the light here, and you just add this a few times, you can actually add an interesting blend look to what you already have there if you want to. And you can also pick a smooth, like pick out here where it's nice and smooth, and pick a couple colors to where you can pick smooth, and you can actually add some colors in there. Anyway, it's just an interesting way you can start to blend, but I'm going to blend with the brush instead. Put it to a really low opacity, and then I can zoom in and start using a smaller brush. And I'm actually start with 19, and keep getting smaller as you work down, so you keep adding more and more detail. And I'm just going to kind of I want to turn this down a little bit more. And so as you're zoomed in like this, you just keep picking the colors around it, and you just keep adding and just kind of blending in a little bit. And see, I kind of want some of my texture still to come through, so I'm trying not to add too much texture. Or I try not to lose the texture, sorry. Just realized I said that wrong. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep see how it has some texture by the brush strokes that overlap each other. I'm trying not to destroy that totally. I still want some of that to come through. And really, painting is really about trying to keep your transparencies and trying to keep underlayers that you worked up on top of and not destroy the underlayers. You really want to keep those underlayers intact. And so I'm just kind of attempting to do that while moving along here fairly quickly. Trying to add some of this shadow here. And also, some people say never work with black. Now obviously you can work with black. That is, you can add dark to your colors, but try not to add pure black. In other words, don't just pick black and start painting with it. Seems to be a general rule, although some people think it's okay. And I just turn my opacity up a little bit more just to kind of make this part go a little bit faster. And keep in mind, shadows, as they get further away, get lighter. They don't stay dark, especially if there's other light. Depends on the scene, but typically that's the rule. I'm just going to go something like that for right now. And then also you're going to get a slight bit of bounce up light, and that's why we had more bounce up light over here. I'm going to turn this down again. That's why this side over here has light. Even though the lights come over here, you have bounce light coming back this way. Either that or this picture has more than one light, either way. Okay, so I just kind of work on the blending here. And a little bit more color there. A little bit green. Just going to kind of add it like that. That way it's not so bright there. Okay, you just keep building up like that. And then let's go back out to actual pixels, and now it's kind of more blended in. Alright, now what I'm doing, you can't see it, is I'm going to put it over here real quick so you can see it. But I have my navigator here set pretty big, and I have this set off on the side. You can't see it though because it's outside my range of recording. But I'm looking at that now as I'm zooming in to paint. That way I can still see my I can still see my reference photo, or you can just have your reference photo off to the side there. You can have a reference photo out here in real life, sitting next to your computer here as you look at it. Anyway, so now I'm going to zoom in again and start adding more fine details. In this case, I'm going to use a lot smaller brush, and this is typically what you do. You keep getting a smaller and smaller brush. So don't just try to go right into details. Work from big shapes. Try to capture the big shapes, the mood, the colors, the contrast from dark to light, values, and then work smaller and smaller and smaller as you start to tighten up and add more and more details as you move along, and it'll make your painting look a lot better. It's typically how you work anyways in traditional painting, so try to carry over your traditional painting understanding to digital painting. And so if you haven't watched videos for traditional painting, I recommend watching a lot of videos for digital painting. It'll really help you tons. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this darker shadow here, and let's kind of work it out over here, and just kind of go like this around here. I'm going to try and get this darker color. And also, when you're painting, like I said, I'm trying not to teach like traditional painting. I mean, I'm assuming that people already have that. They're just like, how do I get that on here, my canvas understanding over here to the digital world? Anyway, so I'm going to make this a little bit dark. Actually, I'll just grab this darker color from my palette and kind of add it right in here. I find it kind of hard to paint and talk entire time. So sometimes I might get a little quiet, and you can just kind of watch, see what I'm doing. And keep in mind, every time you see that, I'm holding down the Alt key and picking another color right next to it. And this is how I like to blend. It's actually how a lot of digital artists like to blend. It works very nicely. Okay, so I kind of get that in there. I'm kind of starting to get a shape, and just kind of work the shadow color in a little bit, like so. Not too much. Actually, I want more of a green color in here, so I just saw that green there. It works. And let's see here. And so anyway, what you want to try to do is use your same color palette throughout your whole painting, the background, everything. That way everything gets a little bit of every color. And use not a lot of colors, but use your color palette nicely. What I'm saying is you want to add all those colors into the pair. Your pair is not just two colors. It's not just this kind of blend from red, green, and yellow. Notice I added a lot of colors in transparent so you can see underneath are the colors, and that starts giving that kind of natural look to the fruit. It makes it look a whole lot better when you do it that way. And I'm going to just get a nice fine brush here to add real fine detail. Naturally, this 3 brush would be so small. Like I said, I'm working here on a low resolution to make the file size better for you guys when you download it or whatever. Just a little bit of red in here. I'm gonna go look at this really quick so it looks like. Okay, that looks alright. And so you just keep adding detail like this as you're looking at your photo, and you come over here, and I'm gonna go back to about a size. Now keep in mind that if you're working at 300 dpi, you want a brush that looks about this size for what you're painting, but you're not going to be using a 9. It's going to be a lot bigger than that. 9 will be a lot smaller. The higher resolution, the smaller the brushes get. A little bit here, like so. And also notice when I start adding in the detail, I'm working at a pretty low opacity here. And just keep blending it out. And I know the photo looks overexposed, but I don't want that overexposed look, so I'm actually fading out the color rather than making it sharp like in the photo. The photo kind of has this overexposed look. And if that's what you want, then go for it, but it's not the look I want. Alright, just keep continuing to work this in. Alright, I noticed something in the photo that I didn't put here, and there's a little bit of light right here. I'm going to just kind of put that in there, and then the shadow comes off over, works itself into all those colors. Like so, and then just kind of blend this in a little bit. Actually, it's more like this. And work it around like so. And really, you want to try also. Another big problem I had was I was trying to draw. I was trying to like sketch, you know, as I was painting here in Photoshop. And so another problem I ran into right away was, like I said, the biggest thing is really try to work big brushes and work down to small brushes, and then keep getting more and more details. But what I was going to say just now, though, the other thing that I ran into a problem is trying to make too many strokes. And really, if you make a lot of strokes, it's really just for blending. But you kind of want to keep some, see that? Just bam, bam, some natural strokes in there. You really want to, and I usually try to keep it for the very last, but you kind of want to have to where you can see a few brush strokes, and it kind of adds more of a painterly look to it. And I'm not showing how to do photorealism here. Photorealism would take a lot longer time, and really photorealism still starts out this way. All painting pretty much starts out the same. It's just a matter of how much detail do I want to add to it, and that's what's going to give you that photorealism, is how much detail you decide to put into it. You just keep working the detail up and up and up and up. And so I don't want this video to come out too long, because I know downloading online, but most people now have DSL and so forth, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. And notice I haven't tried, like I told you from the beginning, I'm not trying to stay totally true to the photo, because I want some artistic licensing to kind of, you know, make it my own little piece. And I recommend doing that, but if you're going for photorealism, yeah, you want to mimic the photo, then you can do that. But for digital painting, I don't know, it's just not my style. I don't like to do that. Okay. Although I do enjoy trying to mimic those master painters, but I realize I get bored with it really fast. I don't want to go detail for detail, like looking back and forth, and I just kind of start going off my own and imagination, and it comes out looking a little bit different, you know. Like I did that one master painting so far from that forum, and a really awesome forum. I love these guys here at CG Talk. Great guys here. A lot to learn from them. I have a lot to learn still. I hope to continue learning from these brilliant people here. And I hope I can help someone out. You know, I'm not the best, but hopefully, I know there's not much videos out there like this for free. You know, you just have to pay for this kind of stuff. And so I figured I might as well go ahead and share what's the big deal. It doesn't take that much of my time. It's kind of fun. And so anyway, I'm just continuing working in the details here slowly, and blending in, and I can really just stay here and do this forever. And I'm not going to, because like I said, I don't want it to be too long. So I'm just going to kind of blend this in, and I think I'm going to be pretty much happy with my result here really soon. If I don't spend too much time, let's go ahead and zoom back out and see what it looks like. Alright, so there we go. So you notice it still kind of looks, a little bit blurry, and obviously that's not the look we want. And let me see, I'm going to go back to I'm going to use a kind of a large, soft brush here. Actually, I don't want the hardness that soft. I'll turn it up just a little bit more, about like that. Opacity down maybe just a little bit more, 10% or so. And because I want to really get this part right here blended in, kind of want that more reddish look. Let's see here. I just want that part to kind of really blend. Oh, guess that'll work. Okay. At this point, I just kind of look at some of the major things, like you notice here and here, I can actually fix that just a little bit, and you just got to keep working in the details. I'm going to keep it on a low opacity, and I'm going to just take this here and just kind of work in this shadow right here just a little bit, because it kind of goes like that. Kind of work it out. And then kind of blend it in like so. So notice I pick this color here, Alt, click with the pen, you kind of pick it, then pick this color out here, and kind of go over it like that, pick this color here, and just keep going like that. And that's how you blend. Alright, so it's starting to look better now. And now you can go in with slightly smaller, and you can start adding texture if you want to. Alright, now really quick, I just worked on pause for a second, just to throw in a little bit. When I did is I took this standard brush here, and I took the texture, click the texture on, I have it at 135 scale, linear burn, depth 100%, and that's pretty much standard. And then I have it set to, let me see what texture it's on. I have it set to Fibers 1. You want to see what I have it set to. What I did is I went large, and so I can see that's when I have it set to. Go back to text only. So I have it set to Fibers 1. And then obviously I have Other Dynamics on to give it this look here. And you want to see what this brush looks like when you're painting. It kind of looks like this. And using different texture brushes like that, you can build up your texture. And I just threw a little quick brush strokes to kind of add a little texture here and there to the pair. And you can actually paint the whole thing with just this brush starting from the beginning if you wanted to, and it does add an interesting effect. In fact, that's how I did my master painting, and that's how I did that one. She came up pretty nice like that. And if you want to see my master painting, it's in the Rembrandt thread, and that's where I did it. So as I add just a couple of textures like that to the background, different colors, kind of balance out a little bit. Maybe you can add some of the orange to the background if you wanted to. Just some of this darker. I'm gonna start there. Actually, I'll make it a little more darker red. Let's see, about like so. Add some of this over here. Right, now you go in for the final details, and this, some can just like stop there and be like, hey, that's fine, I like that kind of painterly look. But if they want to add even more details, get a really small brush, in this case maybe a 1 or 3 or 2, and then you zoom in and you start adding really intricate details. And this is up to the individual painter if they actually want to go this far. So start adding little, I'm going to add it pressure a little bit higher because I just want to be able to touch it very lightly and like one time, and then add some of these other colors that you can barely see. Let's see here, like so. Oops, I wanted that to be red, or orangish color. And you just dot it like that, and take the white, just kind of dot right next to them. Depends how much time you want to spend on this part here. If you want to get real realistic, you can do it perfectly, but I'm just kind of showing it really fast. File, actual pixels, and so you can start adding the little texture in there if you want to, like that. And you can add this all over and here, little places here and there to kind of just let it kind of stick out. You don't want to do the whole detail. You're not trying to texture for like 3D program. You just want to add a little subtle details here and there to make it stick out more. You never want to detail your whole painting, otherwise you lose the look and you lose the depth and everything you want out of it. I'm zooming in on this part here, and what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this highlight and, oops, that's a little too bright. Let's try it right here. I just want to slightly, because on the photo it's a little right there like that. And just kind of add in this little detail here. And I'm really going to try and make the light side the more detailed side. Notice I'm just kind of going back and forth, rotating between dark and light colors. That's a little too dark. I want it to kind of blend more naturally, and then add a little bit of white in here like that. And let's kind of just go like so. Get this little darker orange color in here. Maybe even this little dark color just a few times. Add the white on top of that. And so you just keep working it as you want. This is where I want most of my detail to show up, is right in here. like so. Now watch when we zoom out what this looks like. So there we go. Now I just got my little bit of detail there, and that really draws the attention. I can also add a little detail here and in the stem too, which will make it look nice. So we'll go ahead and do that really quick. Let's take this smaller brush and add a little more detail in here, like so. And actually, I'm going to do a one brush since I already have the three brush on here before. Just add a little more details. Like so. And we're almost done here. Just got a few more things I wanted to show after adding these little bit more details. A few more handy things we can do to finish this up. Notice I like to keep a lot of my brush strokes like in there. You can really see them, and like I said, that really adds to the realism effect. Really, or not realism, excuse me, more painting effect. So it really builds up that painter effect. I'm just kind of tapping the pen lightly and kind of making Z strokes and then dots, and just kind of mixing it up as I go along, just to add little details here and there. I want this part to be nice and crisp, that way it stands out when you look at it here. And I think that should be okay. You don't want to add too many details. If you add too many details and it starts looking like a drawing. You don't want your painting to look like a drawing. So I think that there looks pretty good. And now here's a few more techniques we can do to make it look better. What I like to do always is once I'm pretty much done, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to flatten this out. Image, even though I haven't done, well, let's see, actually I don't need a flatten. Let me see, hold on. Yeah, see I did two, this is more of a detail, so I forgot to tell you, after I finish my main here, then I'd make another layer, because once I'm satisfied with this, I don't want to ruin this, so I always have something to go back to. You can also save if you want. I just save on a different layer, and I also save frequently that way, just in case my computer crashes or something. Then I make a separate layer for details. That way, if I don't like it, or for some of the details I made too much, I can go and erase some of the details with the eraser on opacity and just kind of erase it up and fix it up. Let's say that these details over here are a little too much. Take your eraser. That's not the eraser I want. Let's say like so, and it's a soft brush. Turn the opacity down to like 39%, and just kind of like that. See, now it's a little softer. So it's good to have it on another layer, and then you can always go back and revert to this if you wanted to. Alright, so we got that. I'm not going to do all the background. I'm just going to kind of leave it like that for you get the idea. Now, from here, there's actually more things we can do. And what I like to do is, I'm going to go here and merge visible, or merge linked. Oh, there's no merge linked. How come? Oh, I haven't linked it. That's why. And you can just go to merge linked like that. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it to image adjustments, and we're going to desaturate really quick. And this way I can kind of get an idea of the contrast, and I need this will be a little bit brighter. And let me show you, undesaturate that, undo it. Let me go ahead and I'm going to link these two together just temporarily and desaturate. This way you can see the difference. This is a little bit brighter and this is a little bit darker, so my values aren't perfect yet. As you can see, the contrast isn't quite right. It should be a little darker in here, a little bit brighter here, and this will make it look more dramatic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to history actually, and you won't be able to see this, but I'm just going to history. I'm just going to go back to before I merged these two here. Okay, so I got that set. And if you want to see the history is here, I just went back a few steps. Okay, so now I got that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the burn tool, and I'm going to set it to midtones first, really low exposure. I keep it really like 7%, and a big brush, and I'm going to set the brush options, make sure that it's set to other dynamics as well, pen pressure. Then I'm just going to burn it just a little bit like that. Then I'm going to take the highlight, actually, just in case I'm going to do shadows too, just a little bit, not much though. Maybe just like so. And then I'm going to take the dodge tool, set it to highlights, and just want to touch this just a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, like that. Maybe even do midtones just a little bit, and voila, that should be good enough. Alright, so there we go. Now, other things you might want to mess with, you can like put a new layer if you want, and you can like duplicate this layer by dragging it down like that, and you can like set it to multiply, and then you could, just to get different dramatic feelings, you can, you know, see, hey, would that give me a different feeling I like? And so it's up to you. Let's say you like it like that, you want to add a little bit like that, then you take it, you want to do this one again, put it on top. Let's say you want to set it to overlay, and turn it down all the way, and then just slowly start turning it up until you kind of get a look you like. And so that's other things you can do just to add more drama to your picture if you'd like to do. You can also throw another layer and put a texture over it, and then throw it down on like overlay and multiply and add different textures. But I really like to add the texture with my painting, and so that painting texture brush really comes in handy. Notice all this right here, these are just really quick one strokes with the painting brush. And if I can just show you that really quick here as we finish this up. So we're going to go ahead and call this finished. Over here I just want to show you something with the brush I have chosen. So what I do is I pick up a natural hard round brush, let's say 19, and I'm going to just turn it up just a little bit, like so, make it a 30. I go to my brushes options, which you can go to Windows and then brushes, and I want to make sure my shapes dynamic controls is pin pressure, and then dynamics pin pressure, then texture. Don't just click here, you got to click on the actual text where it pops up. I have this set to, you can set it to whatever you want, but this one typically Fibers 1 is good. This is also good. You can mess around with different textures. We'll start with this texture here. Just have it set to the, I think this is default. I'm not sure, if not 135. You can also mess with this if you want to, and you can see it changing there at the bottom. You want it to more coarse, you want it to be less coarse. I'm going to go for about, actually I'm going to set it to about 100 or so, about like that. I'm going to put this off on this side so I can continue messing with that. Alright, so let's start with the darker color here, and you start painting this in. Let's see here, I'm going to start it with a darker like that, and set a new layer, and I just start painting this in, let's say like so. I'm going to kind of use that color I already have there. And let's see here, oops. I'm going to work on the background like that, there we go. And go back up to that layer I was working on. I want this side to be a little bit darker, like so. So this one, I'm just first adding in the darker kind of colors like that. And let's see, that's a little too dark, kind of fade it out a little bit. I can actually even work that into it just for the heck of it, just because it's kind of cool. And let's see, I get that orange color. Get this nice orange color like that. Okay, then I can go back to my brushes, and what I'm going to do is just simply change the texture size a little bit bigger like that. Go ahead and just put this off to the side here, and work that in there. Let's get this color. Just a few strokes like that. Then I take the darker color around it and just kind of go over it to blend it in a little bit. But you still want that kind of understroke there to appear a little bit. And let's see here. Okay, then you can mess around with these different textures. And I'm going to go ahead and go to large thumbnail so you can kind of see what they look like. And you get these different looks like this one here. Let's go ahead and take this dark color and kind of go over here like so. And you can just mess around with the different kind of textures you can get. This one here. I want this darker red, kind of just a little bit in there. Alright, so there you go. We're going to go ahead and call that picture done. And really quick here, just for the heck of it, since the video is already really long anyway, a lot longer than I anticipated it to be. So real quick, just made a new layer, made it gray, and then I got this darker gray color. I just want to show you this texture brush is really cool. I mean, you can really get some nice effects with texture brushes. And again, all you're doing is taking that standard round brush, setting here, 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 and then you pick your textures that you want to mess around with over here. And there's all kinds of different textures that you can mess with, and then you just start painting in using that texture. And as you can see, you can get some pretty neato looking effects. The one I really like though is this one. This one's cool as well. So you kind of build up, and you get a neat look there. And just to kind of quickly show you the difference in the texture brushes. And you can also make your own textures as well, which is pretty cool. And you can turn that texture down smaller and even smaller. And see that you get different looks. So it depends on how big your thing you're working on, you get different looks there. And so painting with a brush like that, you can kind of get a nice look if you paint over like I did with the pear, partly. I only did it here and there in little parts. I try not to overdo it, and that way I had the look that I was looking for. So I just kind of did little parts here and there. And so there we go. And let's go ahead and check it one more time on, actually, let me flatten the image, adjustments, desaturate. Look at the grayscale. See, now we got nice contrast here from dark and light in the grayscale. So the grayscale looks nice. Now, I like to do that, to look at the grayscale every now and then just to see, make sure I got my contrast looking nice, because sometimes colors can be deceiving and you're not sure if you got the right contrast. So there it is. Hopefully this will help anyone. Hey, if this helps anyone, email me. You can see, I think my email will be on my nickname or whatever. If not, let's see here. You can email me by going to discipleneil777@yahoo.com. So if you want to go ahead and email me, that's where you can email me. If you want to request that I do more videos, if you like this video, if it's helped you out, let me know, and I'll throw together a few more videos, let's say for painting a face, the skin tones, or whatever else you might want to request from me, and I can see if I can do it. Like I said, I'm not the best, but hey, it looks like a pear, right? So it really helps, and then the technique's what's important, and obviously, see, if I spent more time, it'd look better. And I probably would have made this part a little bit wider. Oh well, it still looks fine. Alright, so hope you enjoyed that. Sorry for making it so long, but I really wanted to make sure I covered everything step by step, because that's what helped me. Watching long videos is what helped me learn digital painting. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody out there.